Hello there, mathematicians. Today's objective is Objective 101A, and it is students will be able to add and subtract integers. Go and get that objective in your notes. Okay, as always, if you're not done writing, okay, hit pause, finish the writing before you let me keep going. Okay, so if you don't have the objective down, hit pause, get it down. If you do, let's keep moving. Okay, a quick review on integers. So let's go over some examples and some non-examples of integers. Okay, remember, integers from the last objective are positive and negative whole numbers. Okay, so some examples would be like negative 5, 1, 0. You could even have like 5 over 1, and you may say, whoa, that's a fraction. Okay, but if you simplify it, 5 divided by 1, that'll just get you 5. Okay, now some non-examples would be like 1.5. Another one would be negative 3 over 2. Okay, 3 over 2, if you actually reduce it, will actually get you 1.5. Okay, so those are some non-examples of integers. Alright, when we're working with integers, okay, one of the best ways, there are two good ways to think about integers. One, you can think about temperature. Okay, so temperature-wise, 0, okay, is right here, and if it's negative, it's really cold outside. So this would be colder. Okay, negative temp would be still very cold. Okay, and then obviously positives, if it's 1 degrees, it's not exactly warm, but it is warmer. Okay, and then the higher you go, okay, the warmer it actually gets. Okay, so you can think about integers with respect to temperature. Another way that you can think about integers is money. Okay, over here to the left, the negative, this is where you owe money. Okay, and to the right, the positive, this is money that you have. Okay, and we'll talk through several examples using both temperature and money. Okay, number 1, go ahead and take 10 seconds, answer that on your own. How far away from 0 is the number 8? Okay, the answer that you should have had for that is 8. Okay, and again, if you actually count the units, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hopefully yours is a little bit prettier than mine. Okay, now one quick note on videos. Okay, I just asked you a question. If you sit there and wait for Miss Moran or I to tell you the answer, then you're not learning. Okay, you got to try these things on your own before you just wait for the answer. Otherwise, these videos really aren't helping your learning. Okay, number 2, go ahead and do number 2. How far away from, oh, I actually just realized that I did negative 8 up here. I counted from negative 8. Okay, I should have counted from positive 8, which is the same thing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, which actually goes to show you negative 8 and positive 8 are the same distance away from 0. Okay, go and do number 2. How far away from 0 is the number negative 6? Answer that you should have had for this one is 6 units away. Okay, what we just did is called absolute value. Okay, absolute value is we measured the distance. A number is from, well, we were always measuring the distance from 0. Okay. Now, integer, you guys, I want you to hit pause right now and write in the definition of an integer. We just talked about it, and it was also on the objective beforehand. Try to do it without looking back at your notes. Okay, and make sure you're using a pencil. Go ahead and hit pause and write that in now. Okay, so you should have had an integer is an and I'm just going to abbreviate, positive or negative whole number. Okay, moving on to the next part, rules for adding and subtracting integers. Okay, I gave you 3 basic steps. I want you to hit pause and copy down these 3 basic steps now, and make sure you are thinking as you write. Hit pause now. Okay, you should have these written down. Okay, so let's go over these. First of all, whenever we're adding or subtracting, we always want to work with addition. Okay, if it's subtraction, you're going to learn we're going to change it to addition. Okay, once we have addition, okay, how do we determine the sign of the answer? Well, we are going to take the sign of the bigger number. Okay, and once we've taken the sign, then we can either add or subtract the numbers. Now, again, we're going to go over some examples, but if the signs are the same, okay, if the signs are the same, we're going to find the sum, which means to add them. Okay, you notice same starts with S, sum. Okay, we're going to find same, find sum. If the signs are different, okay, we are going to find the difference, which means to subtract. Okay, now addition, both numbers are positive. Just real quick example. Okay, 8 plus 7. Okay, first of all, make sure it's addition. It is. Okay, take the sign of the bigger number. Well, in this case, the bigger number is 8. Okay, they're both positive, so the sign of the answer is definitely going to be positive. Okay, and then the signs are the same, right? 8's positive, 7's positive, so we add them together. Okay, now you should have been able to do that mentally without all those steps, but that's again how we're going to use the steps to help us. Okay, let's go on to this next one. If I give you the problem, let's do -7 plus -9. Okay. Now let's go through the steps. Step 1, the operation needs to be addition. Okay, so if we look at this, it is addition. Okay, so just make a note that, yep, we're adding. Okay. Now, step 2 is we're going to take the sign of the bigger number. Okay. Now, on this, forget about what the actual signs on the number are. Okay, so we're going to ignore the -7. We're going to ignore the negative in front of the 9. The 9 is the bigger number. Again, ignoring the signs. Okay, so because 9 is the bigger number, I'm going to take the sign on it, which is a negative. So I know that the answer to this is a negative number. Okay, so why don't we write step 2 and just write sign of bigger number. Okay. Now, step 3 is if the signs are the same. Okay, this is a, let me switch colors. This is a -7. This is a -9, which means the signs are the same. So we're going to find the sum. Okay, so I would simply do 7 plus 9. You notice I'm not even inputting the signs of -7, -9, because I know the sign of my answer is negative. I've already determined that. Okay, so the signs are the same. So step 3 here, same signs means to find the sum. Okay, so 9 plus 7 would give me 16. So I know that the answer to this is negative, because I already determined this negative here, -16. Okay. Now, if you have questions about that, you need to make a note. So you would make a little question mark, draw an arrow to where, again, you don't need to do this unless you have a question. I'm just showing you an example. Draw an arrow to where you have a question, and then say something about why did you do that. Okay, say something in words, that way you know what question to ask when you get to class. Okay? Okay, for this next one number is positive and one number is negative. So let's do an example. Let's say I give you -3 plus 10. Okay, now let's follow the steps. First of all, do we have addition? And the answer to that is yes. Okay, so we can proceed to the next step. Next step is take the sign of the bigger number. So again, 10 is bigger than 3. Again, ignore that negative in front of the 3 on step 2. So 10 is bigger, 10 is positive, so I know that the answer is going to be a positive. Okay? Once we've determined the sign of our answer, then we can go on to step 3. Now, are the signs the same? So negative 3 and positive 10. The answer is no. Okay? So because the signs are different, and again, if you look up here, because the signs are different, we're going to find the difference. Meaning, we just do the biggest number minus the smallest number, because that's the difference. Now, when we're doing this, again, we already know that the sign is positive, so we can essentially ignore that negative 3, okay, because we already know the sign of the answer. So when we do that, we're going to end up with a positive. Again, the positive came from right there. 10 minus 3 is 7, so that would be the answer. Okay. If we do another one, let's do another one. Let's do negative 20 plus 8. Okay. So I want you thinking through what would be the first step. Okay, it's already addition, so we're good. Second step, take the sign of the bigger number. Which number is bigger, 20 or 8? The answer 20. So we take the sign on the 20, which is negative. Okay. Next step, are the signs the same or different? Well, we have a negative 20 and a positive 8, which means they have different signs. When the signs are different, we're going to subtract. So all we have to do is take the biggest number minus the smallest. Okay, and it's going to be a negative. We already determined that. 20 minus 8 is 12. Okay, this next part is where we see most of the mistakes happen. Okay, it's subtraction of integers. So, what if we give you a problem like negative 6 minus 4? Negative 6 minus 4. Okay, so one thing that's key to this, when we look at the first step, we see that the operation here is subtraction. Okay, that's a problem. We don't like working with subtraction. So once we see that, we have to realize right away we have to change that to addition. Okay, now here's how we change it to addition. Okay, we're going to use something, okay, that we call keep, change, change. Okay, now here's how this works. Okay, we're going to keep the sign on this front number, the negative 6. That does not change. Okay, it stays the same. But, okay, so that's the keep. We're going to keep that negative 6. The first thing that we're going to do is change this subtraction to addition. Okay? Now, you can't just magically on your own decide to change a sign without doing something else, and that's why we also then have to change the sign on this next number. It was a positive 4. Okay? Now it becomes a negative 4. Okay, so again, let me walk you through that again. You never, when you're changing this to addition, never change the sign in front of the number in front. Never. Okay? You only change the sign of the number after. So it was a positive 4, and we changed it to a negative 4. Okay? Let's do another one real quick. So if I give you negative 20 minus, and in parentheses, negative 4. Okay. Now, we have subtraction. This operation in the middle is subtraction. We don't like working with subtraction, so we need to change it to addition. To do that, we keep the sign on the first number, so the negative 20, that doesn't change. Okay. But what we do change, and I recommend grabbing a pen, okay, to show this. So if you don't have a pen, hit pause now and grab a pen so we can see the signs that we change. Okay. Now, we're going to change this to addition. And I like to kind of put mine at an angle, that way I know that I changed it. So we change it to addition, but we have to change the sign of the next number. So this was a negative 4, and we have to change it to a positive 4. Okay? Now let's go back to our first problem. Now that we have addition, the same rules apply as before. Okay, we've already done these problems. So now that we have addition, we go on to step 2. Take the sign of the bigger number. Well, 6 is bigger, 6 is negative. Okay. Now the signs are the same, a negative 6 and a negative 4. So when the signs are the same, we find the sum, which means we just add those two together. 6 plus 4 is 10. So our answer to this one is negative 10. Okay. Going down to this one. Okay. Once I have it to addition, I take the sign of the bigger number. 20 is bigger. It has a negative in front of it. So it's negative, the answer. Now, the signs are different. This is a negative 20. This is a positive 4. Okay, because we changed it, remember? So when the signs are different, we find the difference, which means to subtract. So 20 minus 4 would be 16. So your answer to that one is 16. Okay, what I want you guys doing right now is you have problems 1 through 12. This is a practice so you can know how you're doing on these. Okay, I want you to go ahead and do these, and then I'm going to provide the answers afterward. Now, if you get one wrong, make sure that you mark it wrong, that we know to go back and study these. Okay, so right now you're going to hit pause and do these 12 problems. Okay, here are the answers to these 12 problems. Again, check them, make sure that you have the sign correct. Use a pen. If you get them wrong, make sure you mark them wrong so we can help you out in class. Okay, go ahead and hit pause and check them now. Okay, we're going to do a couple word problems. Whenever we do word problems, we should always use what? You should always use cups. Okay, so I know it's early in the year with cups, so I'm going to explain cups a little bit more. So, when we use cups, we're going to circle the question, and we're going to underline as we read, looking for key operation words and picking the operations that go with those words. Okay, so during a 5-day period, that might be important, the telecommunications company's stock price went from 1782 to 1536 per share. Now, this word per is oftentimes really important, so it might be in this one. Okay, the question asks, or what it's telling us to do, is find the change in price. Find the change in price. Now, change, okay, with this, don't you think we probably want to know whether the price went up or down? That's really important to know. So if we look at this, went from 1782 to 1536. So the price actually went down, or it decreased. Okay? So you can write the word decrease right here, and I'm running out of room. Okay? Now, change. Okay, the operation that goes with change, we need to find the difference. Okay, so whenever you see change, almost always it's going to mean that you have to subtract. Okay, or find the difference. Okay, so on this one, we simply need to do 17.82 minus 15.36. Okay, and when you do that, you're going to get that the stock decreased by, I think it's $2.46. Okay, and this would be your answer. Okay, number 2. The highest Mount Everest, the highest elevation in Asia, is 29,028 feet above sea level. The Dead Sea, the lowest elevation, is 1,312 feet below sea level. What is the difference? Okay, that's what it's asking. What is the difference between these two elevations? Okay, now, difference, we should know, means to subtract. Okay, so as I'm reading that, I'm going to put a little subtraction by difference. That's picking out the operations. Okay, now with this, can you envision a mountain? Anytime that you can think of the picture in your head, it's a really good strategy, a problem-solving strategy, to draw a picture of it. So we have Mount Everest, Okay, and let's say this is sea level. You guys can probably draw a better sea than I can. Okay, so the highest, Mount Everest, is 29,028 feet. Now sea level, what do you think that the number is for sea level? Okay, if you didn't know this, sea level we think about as 0. That's what we measure everything from. Something's either above sea level or below sea level. Okay. Now the Dead Sea is actually below sea level, so that needs to come down here. Okay, 1,312. Okay. Now, if it's below, okay, we should know that it's a negative. Negative shows that it's below. Okay. Now, to find the difference between these, we do the 29,028. Difference means to subtract. Okay. And then the other number is right here, this negative or below sea level, 1,312. Okay. Now that we have this, we have subtraction, right? Okay, so we need to change that to addition. So we keep the sign on 29,028, change this to addition, and change the sign of the next number. Okay. Now we can go ahead and plug those in and get our answer. And our answer on this one is 30,340. Now, make sure you include units. We're talking feet. Okay, that's the difference in elevation between these two. Okay, last one we're going to do on the video. In Buffalo, New York, the temperature was negative 14 degrees in the morning. The temperature dropped 7 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the temperature now? So that's our question. What is the temperature now? Okay. Well, we can kind of model this using, I'm just going to kind of draw a stick thermometer here. Okay. Let's say right here was 0. Right here is negative 14. Okay. The temperature dropped, so it's going further down. Okay. So it started off at negative 14. What operation do you think we would use for dropped? You should be saying it out loud or in your head, should be saying subtraction. Okay, so it dropped 7 degrees. Okay, when you do this, okay, again, following the steps, negative 14 minus, we don't like minus, so keep the sign on negative 14. Again, we never change the sign in front of the subtraction. We change that to addition and change the sign of our next number. Okay, and when you do that, negative 14 plus negative 7, we get an answer of negative 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure you have the degrees Fahrenheit. That is your answer. Okay, make sure you come to class with questions in your notes and ready to practice these when you get to class.